In the early 9th century, as Europe was deep in its dark ages, a young woman named Fatima Al-Fihri fled political turmoil in her homeland of Kairouan, making the arduous journey across North Africa to Fez, Morocco. Unlike most women of her time, Fatima was fortunate to receive an exceptional education from her father, a wealthy merchant who believed his daughters deserved knowledge of Islamic jurisprudence, mathematics, and astronomy, subjects typically reserved for men. Life changed dramatically for Fatima when she lost both her father and husband in close succession. Islamic inheritance laws, progressive for their era, entitled women to property and wealth, leaving Fatima and her sister Maryam among the wealthiest women in Fez. During her prayers following this personal tragedy, Fatima's vision crystallized. "I shall use what God has given me to create something that will serve His people long after I am gone," she declared to her sister. Standing in the crowded Mosque of Fez, Fatima witnessed scholars struggling to teach amid the press of worshippers and recognized the hunger for knowledge in her community. The closest centers of higher learning were thousands of miles away in Baghdad and Damascus, a need she was uniquely positioned to fulfill. When she presented her idea to build a university, many dismissed her, asking, "What does a woman know of such matters?" But Fatima persisted, her learning and vision eventually winning support from local religious scholars. In 841 CE, Fatima purchased land in the heart of Fez. Standing on the empty plot, she envisioned not dirt and stone, but arches, courtyards, and halls filled with scholars from across the world. "Knowledge is not the domain of men alone, but of all who seek to understand God's creation," she reportedly replied to skeptics. With this conviction, she laid the foundation for what would become not just a mosque, but a madrasa, a place dedicated to both worship and education. What made Fatima's vision revolutionary was not just her gender, but her holistic concept of learning. While other religious institutions existed, she conceived a place where students would study everything from theology and law to medicine, astronomy, and mathematics. A true university where all knowledge was seen as a path to understanding divine creation. Thus began the 18-year journey to create Al-Qarawiyyin, the world's first university.
If you're enjoying this journey so far, don't forget to like and share this video. Your support helps us share these incredible stories with a global audience. Now back to the show.
Unlike wealthy patrons who merely funded projects, Fatima immersed herself in architectural principles, studying the great mosques of Damascus and Cordoba while innovating to serve educational purposes. She checked sites for 2 decades. One account describes her fasting from dawn to dusk throughout construction, considering her work a form of worship. To build a house of knowledge is to build a house for God. The challenges were relentless. During the 7th year, when drought struck the region and wells ran dry, Fatima applied knowledge from ancient water management texts to direct excavations that uncovered a previously unknown underground spring. A devastating storm in the 12th year collapsed a partially built dome, killing 2 workers. Many saw it as an ill omen, but Fatima mourned the lost lives and refused to surrender her vision. "Their sacrifice shall be honored in the persistence of our work," she declared, helping to clear rubble before redesigning the dome. While stones were being laid, Fatima simultaneously built the university's intellectual foundation. She dispatched representatives to Baghdad, Cairo, and as far as Persia to acquire precious manuscripts and recruit scholars. Her agents returned with hundreds of volumes on subjects ranging from medicine to astronomy, creating the nucleus of what would become one of the world's greatest libraries. The first university library was born from her understanding that books, not just teachers, were essential to advanced learning. Perhaps most revolutionary was Fatima's establishment of the Waqf system, an endowment that would make education financially sustainable and independent from political influence. "Knowledge must remain free from the control of rulers whose power is temporary," she reportedly instructed, "for education is for all generations to come." This system would later be adopted by universities worldwide, including Oxford and Cambridge, creating a model for institutional independence that endures today. As construction progressed, Fatima demonstrated remarkable foresight in designing spaces for specific educational purposes. Lecture halls with excellent acoustics, small rooms for discussion circles, specialized areas for different disciplines, and residential quarters for students from distant lands. She insisted on features promoting equal access to learning, including proper lighting throughout the complex and ramps alongside stairs. Design elements that were centuries ahead of their time and reflected her belief that knowledge should be accessible to all seekers.
If you're enjoying this video and want to support the channel, consider shopping through our affiliate links in the description. It won't cost you anything extra, but it helps us cover the costs of creating more great content for you. Thank you.
In the spring of 859 CE, after 18 years of labor, the University of Al-Qarawiyyin opened its doors. The inauguration drew scholars and dignitaries from across North Africa and beyond, yet in a gesture revealing her true character, Fatima refused a position of honor. When officials sought to recognize her publicly, witnesses describe how she slipped away into the crowd, whispering, "The university belongs to God and to all who seek knowledge here, not to me." This humility spoke volumes about her motivation, service rather than glory. Fatima lived to see her creation flourish, becoming one of the university's students in her final years, sitting alongside young scholars in the very halls she had built. The impact of her vision extended far beyond her lifetime. While Europe's first university, Bologna, would not be established for another 2 centuries, Al-Qarawiyyin pioneered concepts we now take for granted: degree-granting programs, diverse subjects of study, and residential facilities for students from distant regions. The university became a beacon of knowledge, drawing students from across Africa, the Middle East, and even Europe. Among its most notable alumni was the Jewish philosopher Maimonides, the Muslim historian Ibn Khaldun, and a European Christian who would later become Pope Sylvester II, bringing mathematical knowledge from Al-Qarawiyyin to European shores. The translations and commentaries produced at Al-Qarawiyyin helped preserve classical Greek and Roman knowledge that might otherwise have been lost during Europe's Dark Ages. Through 12 centuries, as empires rose and fell around it, Al-Qarawiyyin endured. It survived the collapse of the Idrisid dynasty, Almohad conquests, colonial occupations, and the turbulence of the modern era. In 2012, another pioneering Moroccan woman, architect Aziza Chaouni, led the restoration of the Al-Qarawiyyin Library, uncovering original architectural elements from Fatima's time and adapting the historic structure for the digital age, a fitting continuation of one woman's legacy by another. Today, over 200 years since its founding, the University of Al-Qarawiyyin continues to educate students in the heart of Fez, recognized by UNESCO as the oldest continuously operating educational institution in the world. As students pass through its ornate cedar doors, they walk a path paved by a remarkable woman who understood that the greatest form of devotion was the pursuit and sharing of knowledge. In an age where women's achievements have often been erased from history, Fatima Al-Fihri's legacy refuses to be forgotten, her university having outlasted empires to illuminate minds in the 21st century.
Which of these facts surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. Next week's topic is top secret, but subscribing is your all-access pass to the reveal. Until next time, keep up the adventures, keep discovering and exploring our amazing world. And I will see you, and yes, I do mean you, in the next video.